Thank you, Mr. Offord, for a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and I thank the members, the members for Newton Abbot and Derby South for securing this important debate. As we've heard from across the chamber, there are lots of examples of these rogue parking companies. And before I begin, I would just like to note this is my first opportunity to reply to a debate on behalf of His Majesty's loyal opposition. Not bad for a boy from Broxbourne, so please go easy on me. Luckily, both I and my constituents of Broxbourne have plenty of experience in dealing with parking problems, as do so many members from across this chamber, as we've been hearing this morning. There have been passionate contributions from members from all sides, including the should be the right honourable member, but the honourable member from Strangford, which it would not be a debate in this chamber without him in attendance. And I did note lots of comments down from honourable members from across this chamber, which I won't go through, and I would just simply say, look, I have heard nothing I've disagreed with on these cowboy parking companies this morning. I think everyone has agreed with everything everyone else has said, that action needs to be taken with the rogue parking companies. Now, parking is a crucial part of everyday life, but too often it is overlooked because it is not a glamorous political issue. When parking is too hard to find, too expensive or just too complicated, it can have a ripple effect on the local economy and, quite simply, the basic quality of life of all of our constituents. So there are a number of practical points I would like to make to the Minister, and I look forward to the Government taking a constructive step to make things easier and better as soon as possible. While Labour's manifesto failed to mention parking, their priorities clearly lie elsewhere. The Conservatives pledged to fully roll out the national parking platform, which would end the ludicrous situation of needing one app on your phone to park in one car park, another app to park in the car park down the road, and so on. A single payment system would make it easier, especially for older people. The Minister for Transport said in February that options are being explored with the parking industry to deliver the platform. Can I ask the Minister how these discussions are going and when we will see action on this? Can the Minister confirm if the funding for the pilot version of the national parking platform ceased on the 31st of March? While making parking easier for drivers, there is a balance to be struck by making it simpler for simpler regulations and protecting pedestrians and local residents. At the last election, we promised to give councils the power to ban pavement parking if they so wish, provided they engage with businesses and residents first to ensure they are not adversely affected. It is incredibly frustrating for pedestrians to find their path blocked by inconsiderate cars, and for those with disabilities or young children in prams, it can mean the choice between a dangerous detour or not continuing with their journey at all. My own sister has used a wheelchair to get around Hoddesdon and has been sadly forced into busy roads too many times. Inconsiderate parking, at its most serious, can be a matter of life and death. I'm sad to say that there has been a case in my constituency of Broxbourne where an ambulance was unable to reach a person experiencing a 999 medical emergency, with paramedics having to run down the road because cars were parked too closely on both sides of the road. In my previous role as the county councillor, I was able to respond immediately by putting in place practical double yellow lines and to ensure that this could never happen again, whilst ensuring there was still parking available. Yeah, I will.
Right. I totally agree with him on the challenge of pavement parking, particularly around the school run. There was a consultation on this in 2020. I hope the Minister will be responding to this. Can I ask why the Conservative government didn't respond to that consultation and take action on some of these areas?
We did try and implement some of the recommendations from that consultation, but it was the courts and the private companies that took us to threaten legal action as to why we couldn't do it. So I hope this government is going to answer those questions and reply to that consultation, because as she rightly points out, around school pick-up and drop-off time, I mean, I wouldn't go near a primary or secondary school in my constituency because of, and it is often, quite sadly, parents taking their children to school that are parking dangerously, that affects other children going to the same school. So we must do something about that. But I firmly believe that it is councils and councillors who understand their local areas. They should have the power to tackle inconsiderate parking. And the Minister speaks about devolving more responsibility to local authorities. Will this include the power for local authorities, if they so wish, to ban pavement parking? Local people also need a say when it comes to parking from a planning perspective. In my constituency, a new development has been proposed with just 17 spare spaces for 80 flats. If only half of those within a flat contain 2 people, a couple, who both drive, spaces will run out very quickly indeed, forcing more cars to already full neighbouring roads. This will give way.
Thank you, Mr Efford. Although the Shadow Minister raises some really important points here around school parking and around parking on pavement, could he recognise that this debate is focused on the operations of private car parking companies who are ripping off so many of our residents, and what we shouldn't be doing here is diluting that message, which is the focus of today's debate?
If the gentleman, I just politely say to the gentleman, if he waits, I do come on to that within my speech. There are a range of parking issues which all do affect that situation. This issue around planning and getting the right number of parking spaces in properly is already happening in my constituency in Marsh Close, where constituents have written to me to share their frustrations about struggling to find space to park close to their home. Why? Because not enough cars were catered for when the development was built. The government's new national planning policy expects that parking to be integral to the new designs of new housing schemes. This is vital and should be applied in every new development. Almost every development I see, you always need more parking, so the government must prioritise this. Constituents have also been in contact with me with stories of dreadful treatment and the handful of those rogue parking companies, as we've been hearing from across the chamber today. Outrageously, Parkingeye has sent threatening letters repeatedly to one of my constituents demanding money without even an explanation as to why they got the fine in the first place. Across the country, 14.5 million tickets will be issued to drivers this year. Too often, these parking firms are working deliberately to fleece motorists for as much as they can, with misleading and confusing signage, aggressive debt collection and unreasonable fees. This must stop. The government must get a grip on these cowboy operators, stop this war on motorists and deal with the other issues our constituents are always contacting us about parking.